I'm going to go ahead and get started. Jeffrey and Molly, will you do me a favor and just say something? Because if someone doesn't say something, I'm talking to a black screen.
Okay.
Okay.
Say
Yeah.
something on topic or just so that you hear it?
Anything,
Can
just
you
so
hear
that
me?
it switches. Yeah,
Okay.
right. Just so it switches. Yep.
And
Otherwise,
to
it's a
answer your question, Pierce, about did we prepare, do our stretches? I think that's a great idea, but I have to say I didn't, but I think that's a very good. I think that's a very smart thing to do, to be ready and to be prepared. Although I did do what I love to do in the whole wide world.
making the little things.
Oh no, actually, I just love to clean.
Uh-huh. Oh,
So that puts me on it makes me happy. I just feel very good in myself when I do
you're welcome here anytime.
that. Okay.
Actually, we love to also. Yeah.
There's just something about it that is just clearing space, making space.
Yeah.
I think that's
Well,
what
that's
it is.
interesting that you say that. That's a bit of what the topic is today. All right, then. Hello, Mark and Clarity and Sam. I think you three have joined as well, and I believe that's all I'm expecting today. So go ahead and kick things off. Just say hello, and then I'll get going if you can hear.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yeah, right. There you are. Hello.
Cool.
Hello, hello, hello. I'll say it 3 times. Good. Let me just have a quick look at you. Yeah. All right. So I have a question for you. Any of you. How many lives do you have? How many lives do you have? Right. I mean, we've got what? 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 folks here today. Is that right? I might have miscounted, but yeah, roughly. But how many lives are here right now? Do you understand the question? Do you understand what I'm after? Have you stopped to consider it? If you haven't stopped to consider it, why not? I guess would be the next question, right? Because every day that you wake up, every day that you get out of bed in the morning, the first question that you ask yourselves should be, what's got me today? Yeah. And if it's not the first question you ask yourself, then really, I guess all I can say is that it's got you too much, right? Because you lack the awareness. I didn't warn you all. I'm going to be a little bit more tough today, right? With a few things. Primarily because I want to blow away the notion that is very common in our culture that you as you are can do this work. You can't. Not as you are, okay? The whole idea about this work is changing, altering your stride to meet that stranger that you don't know, all right? That part of you can do this work. Yeah. I think a reasonable answer for most of you would be, I've got 5 lives. I've got 7 lives. I mean, if you think about it, right? You have a mental life that you enact sometimes, and it's got a whole host of various things going on within it. You've got a moving life, moving center life. Yeah, that's what makes you walk around and talk the way you do and move the way you do and pick the sleep out of your eyes. No, that's more the instinctive, isn't it? Yeah, you've got your instinctive life, got your emotional life, you've got your sexual life, and if you are lucky, maybe, or diligent is probably a better term for it, you have another one. Last time we drew some symbols on the board, didn't we? I'm going to draw another one. Okay, can y'all see that? What is
Yes.
it? Yeah. Tell me what it is.
It's a pentagram.
Pentagram. You're right. How many symbols are in there? And is it an open symbol or a closed symbol? See, this is why you should warm up first, right? Because now
Well,
I'm already running and you have to get this warm up phase. Yeah.
I'd say it's closed.
Is it closed? You sure? I mean, I drew it connected. I'll say
Yes.
that. You know that
Well-
there's two types of symbols, right? There's closed and unclosed. Do you know this? Yeah. Unclosed, although it's as if you haven't gotten to that part just yet in everything, right? That's an open symbol, isn't it? What do open symbols do?
Allow in.
Do they though?
And allow out,
Yeah, they poke.
like in out.
Yeah.
Like a sort of a
So what do closed symbols do then?
Contain.
hold.
They contain. You're right. Yeah. So there's an idea of transmission reception with something like this, and an idea of a process, at least with part of this, something that is in holding, in keep. But let me tell you something. Most people aren't this, right? We talk about the pentagrammic structure. We talk about the thinking center, the moving center, the instinctive center, the emotional, the sexual, the higher thinking, the higher emotional, right? And I think most people come into this work believing that this is where they are. This is what they are already. But it's not the case. What most people come to this work as looks more like this. Yeah, this. Okay. That fancy camera that moves, follows me around, so I have to do it as well. Now, what's the difference between this and this?
Well, there's more involved in the pentagram, and the stick figure that you just drew is like a stick figure.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of
Yeah,
meat on the bones.
There you
I
go.
add potency to that.
Oh, right. This lacks content. This is just transmission from nothing, pouring from the empty into the void, as they say.
Right.
Yeah. This is how generally people in the culture go on. This is all personality, right? Someone can't claim to be this until they actually have a center like this, a pentagon in the center with content. Now, if you think of it this way, we're just going to erase every leg in here. All right, kind of a small pentagon. If you can't see it, I'll redraw it. But do you understand what's up there? Yeah, it's the star without the points. That's content. That's your inner life content. When I say that you can't do this work as you are, what I'm saying is that you can't do this work like this. Okay, you have to be able to get from this to that. Now, what is that? Is there a criteria? Is there a way, a means, a method that goes with this, that goes with the acquisition of this? Does it have anything?
I'd say it's a custodianship
Of?
Something.
Hang on. I need everyone to do something, okay? Please stand up for me. Got to get this dullness out. Stand up for me and wind out. Do you know what I mean by winding out? Do you know the difference between winding in and winding out? Right? If you want to induce something into yourself, you go a particular direction. If you want to evacuate something from yourself, you go from another. You know, if you don't know this by now, you should. So this is your lesson in it. It's very easy. Start down here. In fact, start lower. Yeah. Start with your hands all the way down here. and begin to make outward circles. Gentle, smooth, slow, come across your waist, come to your solar plexus, to your emotion, throat, I should say, mentality, higher aspects. Now continue to kind of wind it up and away. All right, now I should have said take a registration before and a registration after. Perhaps you did, but hopefully this lightens you up. You see, you come to meetings full of this, without much of this, you got to get rid of it. Yeah. Now, Molly, you can sit down now. Thank you all. Molly, what were you going to say? I bet you're going to change what you were going to say, though.
Well, what it brings to mind is the Pentagon in Washington. And yeah, I think it's very deliberately constructed. So it's got esoteric meaning. So I not exactly specifically sure, but I think it's holding something very, kind of above the level of just kind of flotsam and jetsam. It's a custodianship of the pentagram, white, red, blue, yellow, green. The
But what's the nature of this in the human? What's the nature of the pentagon in the human? You see, because if I add these back on, you'll see something interesting if I do it this way. Oops, not that way. Oh, my brain does not want to. There we go. Okay, what I haven't done is I haven't connected those 5 ports of transmission. What does that mean in this context? What's in here? What's in here in the human? Supposing that a human can even get from this to that, what's in there?
It's core.
What is it?
Like, okay, I'm going to say it's essence. It's a soul. It's a connection.
No.
No.
No. It's empty.
Oh.
Until you put something in it. Right? Soul, spirit, not content, soul, spirit, all of the electromagnetic dynamics that go with just being born as a human being on the planet at this time or any other time in the last 40,000 years appears like this. Usually. This is work. You have to work until you get to this point where you can actually claim that you are that diagram, not that diagram. And it starts out with something empty. It has no purpose until you put one in it. Your purpose is not my purpose, right? Nor Jeffrey is it Molly's purpose, or vice versa, or Sam, Clarity, and Mark. Okay, it's what you decide to put in here that then alters the type of radiation coming out, because now this is coming from a content base. This is coming from a place of content in yourself. And then your mentality can radiate based on that purpose. Then your moving center can radiate based on that purpose. Your instinctive center. I'll tell you what, the very fact that you're here right now, instead of taking a nap, right, or sleeping in, or down at the pub, yeah, depending on what time zone you're in here, the very fact that you're here means to me probably that you've got a bit of something in here. Maybe you haven't identified what it is yet, but your instinctive center couldn't care whatsoever that you're here. If you look like this, you're not going to be here, okay? Because your instinctive center, yeah, sorry about the camera. Your instinct, yeah, see, I start moving around, right? And it just can't keep up with me. Instinctive center just wants the basics, doesn't it? Yeah. But your instinctive center is sitting here listening to this right now. Why would it do that? So do you know what you've put in here, or is it all accidental? This is the question for today. Yeah. And then see that you go from 5 manifestations of nothingness into a singular manifestation of something. I keep talking about this idea of reducing, and it's kind of a twofold thing. It's not really reduction, it's just reduction of the things that aren't necessary for this journey. Yeah. Kind of, right? Because these do end up taking on lives. So you go from a 5 transmitting nothing into something that's 6-fold, but transmitting something of value, Now, you really can't get on that evolutionary train in creation unless you go from that to that. And that's one of the purposes of having a human life. It's one of the purposes of being alive on the planet, is to be able to catch that train, because this is the ticket. This is what the ticket looks like. The ticket doesn't look like this, ladies and gentlemen. All right. That's not an evolutionary train catching ticket. Yeah. Whatever they call the guy that goes up and down the aisles asking for tickets on the train, right? The ticket guy. They'd look at that ticket and go, no, I'm sorry, you're on the wrong train. So do you understand that this is empty until you put something in it? That is the you of you. And you get to decide what you put in there. How does that sit with you? Is it new? Is it different?
It's new.
Huh?
It's new.
Yeah.
And the thing that came to mind is that when you said about you choosing what goes in there, what came to mind was what in me chooses what goes in there.
There's the bigger question. Are you sure it's something in you? I just have to move. I have a attendee list, and it's sitting right over the top of your face, so it was
Okay.
not good. Okay, so run with that then. See, that begs a very serious question then, doesn't it? Yeah. Because if you say what chooses, and that indicates a priori, doesn't it? It indicates something coming before. Yeah, in other words, it's almost saying that you already have the pentagon in here in order to get to here, which I would disagree with.
No, that's not where I was coming from. It was more that once you get to the pentagram, that as life goes on and different experiences happen, how it can change depending on what a person is running with at that time, that week, that year, because of work, home, whatever, can actually change what it is that then goes into the pentagon.
Now, too passive.
Okay.
Too passive. What I mean by that is that it is either a conscious life or nothing. It's either a conscious life or an illusion.
Right.
If you are not putting specific things into that core of you, then it's bullshit.
Okay.
You know, it's an illusion, right?
Yeah.
If it's let me ask a question. Is it possible for someone to chance encounter a work like this? Stumble across it. Yeah. Like, either join, huh?
Depends what level, right? So you can, on the day-to-day walking down the street that way, yes. But there's, I think, a higher engagement where there aren't those coincidences.
Prove it.
I think what prove it, I have a narrative of my own story about it. With that,
Proof enough for me, as long as it is for you.
all
Me here.
right. So it comes with how I met the Eamon, really. And I had a surface reason why I flew out to Boulder, Colorado
Oh,
in 1993. And that was not
Did I
the
see you
reason why
there?
I went.
Did I see you
It's
there?
well, actually not that visit, but possibly a visit in 1995 or so.
All right.
That's possible.
I would have gone by the name of Sky, I think, at the time, or maybe something.
Okay.
rather
Might be
short.
possible, but I stayed with a
Gondra.
gentleman named Versatile, I believe.
Huh? What?
I believe I stayed with the gentleman named Versatile, if my memory serves.
All right.
Okay.
Continue.
So I went out there with a reason that I thought I was going out there.
Yeah.
And then, right, which was to look at Naropa Institute and
All right.
kind of think about life and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now, coincidentally, on that trip, I was then flying to Seattle and then came back home to Westchester County, a place called, and I was living in a place called North White Plains, of where there's a location 20-minute drive north of me called Mount Kisco.
Yeah.
What happened is I met the Eamon in Boulder on what I thought was the last day. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Got handed a couple of phone numbers to two people in Seattle and to someone in practically my backyard. And I thought these Eamon things were everywhere. And turned out, right?
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere, right? If there happens to be two in places I was traveling to and one in my backyard, although New York City, I can believe, but not a suburb of New York City. Something I have to aspire, like, how did there was a call, there was a something, because it was too coincidental. It wasn't the express purpose of my trip to go look at college, postgraduate studies. And the thing was right in my backyard. I just didn't know it. So the way I choose to interpret that whole experience was that there was a connection, and I didn't understand what it was consciously, but something else happened because it was too much of a coincidence.
You know what I make of that? I've come to an understanding in myself recently that the Eamon recurred 7 times. Do you know what I mean? Recurred.
No, not in this context.
Okay. You know the idea of recurrence, where you're born in a certain day, you tick along, you die, and you reincarnate right back into that birth with the same parents and so on and so forth. Tick along and die. Yeah. You do it over and over and over again. Boy, we should stop recording because I'll have to admit that I was mistaken about something. Just kidding. I can keep recording and admit I was mistaken. Yes. It has been said that Leo was born with all of his connections intact. Yeah. And I used to say, nonsense. Right. Well, no, that actually is true from a certain standpoint. But it took Leo 7 times over and over and over again to get it where it is. It's gone, ladies and gentlemen. There won't be that now. Now, I also look at what we're doing here. I'm going to wind something. I also look at what we're doing here, and I have to say that it's not in the astral light. It means that this is the first track through. And if that doesn't give you some tingles, I'm not sure what will, right? This isn't a personal pat on my back whatsoever. I think it should be for you, really, if you take it. Yeah, should be a kudos for you. But I think the Eamon went as far as it could in the astral light. I'm sorry, in the ecology of the planet. Yeah. Every time I try and do something the way that the Emins started up, it's a miserable failure. Our culture is Emin blind. Yeah. If the Emin were to start today the way it started in 1970s, it would probably not get any members whatsoever, right? The frequency is gone. It doesn't work anymore. And this is kind of one of the things that happens with ways on this planet, believe it or not, is that they have a repetition until they accomplish all they can. And then it just, I mean, maybe it'll continue to repeat on some level. Yeah, someone 1,000 years from now will discover the archives. But it will never be the same. It's got to be new. It's got to be fresh if we're going to do this. So what it tells me, Jeffrey, is that you, along with the Eamon, grew up together many times. And, by this incarnation, whatever day and year you were born, you were pretty quick at finding it as soon as you were of mature enough of an age to do so. And you just recognized the signal because it was part of how you grew up however many times before, you see. Take it or leave it. Right?
Yeah.
This is my.
Well, certainly recognizing the signal.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And if I could tie it to what recognizes the signal.
Okay.
And, not to get too clever there, but it's, the personality when, I kind of go to the early days and the personality starts going, okay, I can go to an Eamon meeting tonight, or I can go to the movies.
Yeah.
But something else in you recognizes that those things aren't actually parallel. Right? It's not the same. Like, okay, movies or a sporting event might be the same, but going to an Eamon engagement or connective engagement, if we want to not be Eamon specific, is not the same necessarily. And then going to the movies, unless you happen to be going to the movies a different way. But that's
true.
Yeah.
Right. Good point there, by the way.
Yeah.
Because you can go to the movies in an Eamon way.
Yes.
Yeah.
But let's for this sake just call it casually.
Culturally.
Okay. And so what is that response? For myself, I register it as kind of a magnetic pull. And it often has, I guess what says to me is like a carrier wave of, inartfully saying is like fizz or some sort of like spine tingling energy. And that tells me that there's something, it's not just a cultural choice. There's a something else that I may or may not be cognizant of. So pay attention.
Yes, but it has to be intentional. This is the thing. I think too many people took the Eamon as a buffet. Yeah, because there's so much occult and esoteric information, religious essences, presences, things that you can connect to. I mean, if you look at your life, do you understand the kind of beauty that I see when I look at you? The reason I say that is because out of everything that's out there in the world right now, you all, and Sachin and Kimberly, I'm including you in this too, because you've been ticking around for a while now, right? The types of things that you're exposed to in this sort of work, I mean, you should be the most enlightened, happiest people on the planet right now. You really should, right? But if you're not, then it comes down to an attitude of whether you're here to feed from it or do it. And you see, that's the one major difference. Yeah. I'm not blaming anybody, right? Because it was extraordinary at the time. Nothing like it existed at the time. And I'll tell you, nothing like this exists right now either. It really doesn't. Yeah. But I'm going to be a bit more direct than I think Leo probably. Well, he tried, right? I can't say he didn't try. That's all he ever wanted was for people to just take it up and start doing it. Yeah. He didn't want to be an author, for crying out loud. A preacher. It was never what he wanted. It's not what I want either. Yeah, I want companions. What's the difference between you and I? Really? What do you think it is?
I think that you're actively engaged in a very deep process. You get up at dark 30 in the morning and write,
Yeah.
and something is summoning you. I sense you're being summoned to do this, and something's moving through you that needs to find come through you, and you're bringing it life. You're holding it, and you're channeling it, and you're being summoned.
Well, okay, kind of yes and kind of no, right? Because that almost sounds like a savioral type of thing, and it really doesn't work that way.
Okay.
It doesn't work that way from the standpoint of absolutely anyone can do this by right of just being human, right? Just the fact that you're a human being means that you can do this work, and means that all of the things that attend this work will attend you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, hold on 1 second, okay? I'm going to give you a very real example of something. All right. Now, I want you to take a very clear registration of what your space feels like right now. Got it? Okay. Now, I'm stacked up to here in platinum right now. Okay. I'm going to ask this platinum essence to go dwell with you for a moment. Now start to feel. Ooh, do you feel that? Yeah, difference, isn't it? Right? Now, it's not attending me because I was born special or anything, right? It's attending because of the work. And you see now, you feel that in your spines, especially that's where it's going to start to load in. Now you're doing the work and it's going to come sit with you, right? You can keep that bit because I'll just keep inducing more here. But answer honestly, yes or no? Was there a difference?
Yes.
Yeah, you feel it. Yeah, it comes, right? And yes, partly is because I asked it to, but also it wouldn't do it if you couldn't sense it, you see? If you didn't have it already, it wouldn't go. It would just be like, I have no home here, you see? So the difference between yourselves and myself at this point in time, right now, today, is that my electrical and magnetic lives are fully conscious. And you haven't realized that you can be too in your electrical and magnetic lives, have that full consciousness. Now, I don't want you to stop coming, right? But if you had that realization as an actuality, not as a wish, as an actuality in your lives, you could just as easily go, I'm good, right? Thank you, Pierce. Good. Carry on the good work. I'm going to go do my own good work, and so on and so forth. And that would be okay with me, although I would miss your company, Yeah. Do you understand the significance of that difference? It's a shift. It's because somehow I stumbled across the idea that you need to put purpose in here consciously at all times. In that, to not be this conscious purpose in that core. And then everything you do, everything you think, everything you emote becomes an expression of that. You're so loaded up, Molly, please. Yeah.
I just want to say, you know, I mean, my journey with the Eamon was a great, I mean, it was incredible. But I will say this, I do feel that we're in the time. We're in the time. I feel having the language and the references that we learned, i.e., just for example, you know, expendable, maintenance, custodial, that in and of itself explains a lot about what you're asking of us with the pentagram. So being able to articulate, understand, and also have a reference to be able to hold it is very important. And I will say this, when I joined the Eamon, I had no idea I was going to be there. You know, I went to England for one reason, and I ended up within a month going to an Eamon meeting. And not, you know, and this was it. My journey was very specific. I feel, every step that I took was towards this. And I think that this time that we are living in is very potent as far as being able to hold what is coming. And also, I just want to add, you know, the space within the Pentagon, I feel is a space, the space that's being made, a sacred space being made for what is coming in, to be able to hold it, to be able to be a custodian of it. You know, the priestess card, to hold and to hold it and be, you know, keep it in sacred space.
Well, no, it's not the priestess card. In this condition, it's actually the hanged man.
Oh, okay.
Do you have does anyone have a tarot Frownstrong sitting around?
Yeah, we're gonna get one.
All right.
That's interesting.
Do you know why it's the hanged man?
He's letting go of everything.
He's
letting go of absolutely everything, and he's connected to the tree, the planet.
You know, though it shouldn't be. Well, I'll wait for Jeffrey to hold it up to the camera for us. Yeah, let's see. So like tumbling out of him there are what appears to be dollars and coins and stuff, right? Isn't that right? Yeah.
Yes.
It's not exactly accurate though, is it? If we were to rewrite it for our time today, it would be bodies falling out of his pockets. It would be selves falling out of his pockets, right? Because yes, true, in the context of that card, you know, things like dollar bills and pounds and coins and euros and those sorts of things really have no creational value. But so too do the aspects of this life that no longer fit into this life. That's what needs to fall out of the pockets, right? And there's a riddle. The riddle is that more people will fall out of the tree of truth than climb into it. More people will fall out of the tree of truth than climb into it. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Does anyone know what I mean?
I'd like to know.
Anyone have a guess?
I have a guess.
Yeah, go.
Truth confronts people, and it's distinction between those that will embrace it and pursue it and those that will avoid it one way or another.
Yeah. You're right, in a very poetic way. What I mean is that you, as a life, may climb the tree of truth, with all of these aspects of self, all of these persons attached to you. Right? I began today by saying, if you're not asking yourself the question, what's got me today, when you wake up, then it's got you too much, doesn't it? Right? But you climb the tree of truth with 500. I mean, think about it. Think about your lives for a moment. We have a work life. We have a certain personality, persona that we put on for work. We have some of us are fathers, some of us are mothers, some of us are children, some of us are in school, some of us have an education, all of these sorts of things develop this kind of life. It really, I mean, this is why it's so hard to get rid of these traits, is because they become entitized over time. And when you get to the point in yourself where you're beginning to climb the tree of truth, those start to fall out, right? You may climb with 100 folks attached to your back, but really, there's only one that needs to be there. And that's the real you. Do you know the real you, though? If you're honest, you'll probably say no. And that's okay. Because the real you is the only one that can do this work, really. That's the part that you need to discover, what that is. All of the other things can fall out of your pockets while you climb the tree of truth, or hang from the tree of truth, yeah? Except for the real you, because it's going to be in sympathy. It's going to be in resonance. Because the tree of truth can only bear one kind of fruit, can't it? Truth. Yeah? You don't get an apple tree bearing pears. It's true to its form. It's true to itself. So therefore, the tree of truth must only have the truth of you allowed to be on its bow, on its branch.
We're both.
Yeah, I know. I can see it.
Yeah. Okay. So I think similarly, like,
hang on.
Okay.
You're not yet coming from you. Because I've heard you a couple of times. I've heard
Okay.
that true you a couple of times. Please don't be offended. Okay.
No, I'm
just
not.
trying to
I'm
slow
not.
it down.
Yeah, no,
Where you're
it's
coming
fine.
from right now
In this
is
space, but just
intellectual.
actually, I'm going to say, in this space, say what
Yeah.
you need to say. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, I will. But
Good.
just redress yourself for a moment and try to find that core, and then express what you are going to say, if you still can.
Well, actually, it's a little bit out of that core for a moment. And what I find is that my cognizance, you said, do you know the real you? And I don't find that that's how I engage. It's more of a knowing what's not me.
Okay. That's a good start anyway.
Right. And much of what I recognize, daily, weekly, is not me. And I think that's the exploration that I have, right? I feel like that's at a level, and this is where maybe I'll ask you, at a level that I don't recognize I can have direct knowledge of, but more like the passion play that we play out here in physical incarnation, to keep sifting what's not.
Yeah. Except for the fact that for most people, there isn't anything in there in the end. That's the hard part, right? Because there are people, by the way, part of the reason why the word gem is so important in this work is because when there's a person that has a proneness to this work, they will have in their aura something that looks like a gem. I'm not kidding. You can see it. It looks like a gem, whether they've ever heard of the work or not. That's what it looks like. Yeah. You can walk down the street and be like, I should talk to that person. Spark something in them. But I will tell you, most people, many people yet, because it's the most inhuman thing you can do is to deny another human possibility. Okay. So many people do not yet have the resonance for this work. Now, why is that? Well, like you said, you keep sifting away the pieces, finding what's not you. For many people, if they do that, they will end up with a vacuum in the middle. So how do we change that for humans? Because that's really important, don't you think? I mean, if you find yourself on an island and only a couple of people there have food, yeah, if you cared about the inhabitants of this island, wouldn't you think to yourself, how can we get these people more food? Yeah, it's the same thing. How can we get these people to actually, once they peel away all the layers of the onion, not just find a vacuum in the middle?
Here's my thought there is, should we do this, or should those people do it themselves? We provide an opportunity to do that. You can't make anybody do anything. You can't.
You're right, but you can magnetize people. In the same way that a nail can be magnetized by a magnet. A magnet already has a certain peculiar internal alignment that makes it magnetic. You rub against a nail and then all of a sudden it has it. Yeah. And if it rubs against something, then all of a sudden that has it, and so on and so forth. You can magnetize things in that way. It's not that now the actual work of it, to follow this analogy further, and the part that you're right about, is that it's still up to them to attract the iron filings.
Well, I think in that analogy, I think what we are doing here is we are creating a stronger and stronger magnetic field.
Yeah, definitely.
And then those people who have that metal, iron or nickel, whatever in them, are going to be attracted. We haven't, I think at least I haven't, actively in our current culture tried to expand that field.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's fine, right? Maybe we are building that field and it's becoming stronger and stronger. And when it does go out, it is going to be far more powerful just for the amount of time we have spent building it.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to do a little segue, if I may. Just, we have 10 minutes left. So 2 points here. Let me take that literally when you said, hey, you can talk anything here. Something's eating you, Pierce. Something's eating you. Like today is very,
yeah, I know, it's punchy,
passionate from you.
Yeah.
This is a little, I don't know if it's because we haven't met for 2 weeks or what is it, but something's really up to your throat. Like it wants to come up. It's come out. I just noticed that this hour is very different Pierce, very much more what I think used to be the old Pierce. Like this is it. This is how it's got to be, which is just fine. Like, I think everything you've said is right. Just an observation there.
Yeah. Well, it occurred to me that I need to beat the apple tree. That's what they do, right? In an apple orchard, at least they used to. They used to get their trees to produce more. They would take a bat and just go out and bang at them. Yeah. Beat them up a little bit. And then that causes a kind of stress. Yeah. So what I'm trying to cause is the right kind of stress. I'm not here to beat you all, but the right kind of stress to ask yourselves that question. Well, these questions really of, why am I engaged in this? How am I engaged in this? Because those are important, both questions. So yeah, your observation's right, Sachin.
One more little thing that I'm going to throw in because I have an opportunity to. So yeah. I was paying a lot of attention to what you were saying, and you were saying a lot of things which were binary to me. Like, you're either your pentagon is either full or empty. You're born this way. One thing that I found super powerful is think about non-binary. Right? Maybe I wasn't born completely empty or completely full. Maybe if I think of it saying, hey, how can I put a little bit in? That way, what that does, it gives me sort of a little bit of a sense of achievement that I actually achieved something. Keeps me coming. So one way of thinking, maybe you think this is binary. Maybe it is you're in or you're out, or you're empty or full. But I found it's powerful to not think in binary terms.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying, and it's not quite the way it is that you're either this or this, because there is a process of moving from this to this, which is non-binary. What I am saying, however, is that this kind of expression doesn't get an evolutionary ticket or a ticket on the evolutionary train. Yeah, it gets a ticket to the repetitional train, in which you have the opportunity, to kind of make some space in there. This kind of goes back to what Jeffrey was saying. If I wasn't clear enough in my assertion, my sense was that Jeffrey had been through several times. Yeah. Came into contact with it, worked it a bit, came into contact with it again, worked it a bit, so on and so forth. So yeah, you're right. It's not this or that, but if you don't do the work, then there is no that. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I mean,
that makes sense. I think if you look at where Jeffrey was the first time he connected and where Jeffrey is now, I'm just picking on Jeffrey here, it's clearly not at this or that. It's clearly much more of full than empty. And so Jeffrey is going through that process, and all of us are.
There's an expression, a dragon. Let me get it right. A small dragon is still a dragon, right? Meaning that something extraordinary, whether it be large or small, is still extraordinary, isn't it? Yeah. And I'm not saying, Jeffrey, that your development is small. Don't take it that way. What I'm saying is that anyone engaged in kind of a process of this sort of self-discovery is extraordinary to me. Yeah. So you're right. It's not like either undeveloped or developed. There's phases that go through it.
It's a magnetized iron filing. It'll become a big iron rod. That's how.
Yeah, right.
That's how it's going to be. Or maybe it's going to become
Well, the more you rub against it, right? The first pass, just barely magnetic on the nanometer scale. Do it about 1,000 times, and being attracted every metallic object in the vicinity. Yeah. No, it's good. Thank you, Sachin. What else?
I just want to add that what's coming to my mind is the visual of there's a door, and it only takes one key to open that door, and that no other key does. So what fits into that door to unlock it, to allow you to enter into it? And it's that's sort of a feeling that I get with this. What's the frequency? Yeah. Is it going to open for you? And it's very specific. So, within that is the study of, learning about what's my frequency, what am I what am I connected to? Where is where am I focused on? What am I focused on? What am I attracting? What am I holding?
Let me extend your analogy just a slight bit.
Sure.
There are 9 billion doors and 9 billion keys. That's an important point. It's not one key for everybody, not one door for everybody. Okay. But each person has their key in their door. Well, unfortunately, each person also has a keychain with about 1 million keys on it. Like poor janitor, right? Shh, get the thing off and try it. Nope. Nope. Yeah.
That's a
the
good
thing.
one.
But like there's more than one key that's magnetized. I mean, to what Molly was saying, right? There's, you know, maybe it's not, it's multiple keys. I don't think there's 10 keys. There's maybe 2 or 3 ways or keys. And every one of us, every sentient being has a keychain with 20,000 keys, and 3 or 4 of those are actually going to work. You gotta find those.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I agree with that. Because what I'm talking about is the key to self, right? The key to one's true essence. I think what you're talking about is ways. And there are many ways to find that key. You know, let's keep this analogy going, right? You have the giant keychain. Now, you have a couple of options. You can start at the left side and work your way this way. You can start at the right side and work your way this way. You can divide them in the middle and try, alternating. You can try every sorts of different approach. Those are ways to discovery. Those are different ways, because a way is not the end. A way is the process you take to get there. And there's, as many ways as there are keys on the keychain. But, if it's whatever it is, Sachin, if it's meditation, if it's Buddhism, if it's, if it's Taoism, if it's whatever the case might be, they can all get you to discover that key. I don't think it's a different key.
I see your point. I think I get what you're saying. There's play on the words, but I see what you're saying. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a problem with the way that people view a way, and this is why religion gets into so much hot water all the time, is because most religions claim to be the only way. Most of the standard religions, right? If you're not Christian, if you're not born again, you're done. Yeah. If you're not this, you're done, right? And it's missing the point that a way, or a religion, I should say, or a way, is just a method of sorting through the keychain to try and find it. It's not the end result. End result is stepping through the door.
What if the key is your fingerprint? What you were born with, the very finger, your very own fingerprint. No 2 fingerprints are alike.
I would agree.
You touch the door and it opens.
Yeah.
With your finger.
Yeah, I agree. Wasn't there a great scene? I think it was in The Hobbit or something like that, where was it Gandalf the Wise, asks somebody, which finger, from a magical standpoint, which finger is the most powerful? Which one, right? And the answer, not these ones, but this finger, right? Why? Because it's on my hand. Yeah? It's the only one that he could do anything with. I don't know if it was Hobbit. I don't remember. Great scene though, right? The one on my hand is the most powerful magical finger. Yeah, good. Right, so I wanted to give you all a feeling of platinum today, because silver and gold is one thing, right? And hopefully now in each of your environments, because I was behind the scenes, I have that behind the scenes asking it to go visit you all, but give you a sense of platinum, because that's the nature of the frequency that is now. Silver and gold argue. Did you know that? Silver and gold, they have a need, they have a specific result, but it's not what the frequency is today. So this is what platinum feels like. This is the signal of where things have evolved to in this work. And there are things beyond platinum, right? This is the foundation. People used to think, those with Eminent terminology, right? It's silver, gold, and then platinum, right? Like that's the high point. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we start this work today at platinum and we go up from there. Sachin and Kimberly, I think, I apologize if you don't have the references. I understand that you all have the habit of meeting behind my back sometimes. And so I hope you continue to do so and maybe can get those references, right, for silver, gold, and platinum. But I mean that funny. I actually really like that you all, get together and chat. Yeah, but that's it, isn't it? Right? We got to start from where we are. We can't start from yesterday. If I, standing here in Windsor, Colorado, decide to visit you in New York, Hopewell Junction, is that right?
Garrison.
Okay.
Oh, it comes at you. It's an internet thing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If I decide to go visit you, given that I was born in Boulder or raised in Boulder, I don't have to go back to Boulder, do I? And then come back to Windsor and then go to Denver to the airport and then go to LaGuardia and, so on and so forth. I don't have to do all that. I start from where I am, don't I? So that's where we are today. We start from where we are. Yeah. Okay. Do you feel warmed up? Is it time to run your marathon now? The problem, we need to work. I will say this, we need to work on tolerances, because I get to a point, and I'm guessing it's probably been about an hour. Yeah. An hour and 3 minutes. I get to this point where I start to feel it backing up to me from you. Yeah. And it happens sooner. I know all you old Eminites used to sit in meetings for 6 hours. Yeah. And by the end of the meeting, you'd be here, right? Because you would reach platinum by the end of the meeting. A lot of times, you see, we start at platinum and you got about an hour worth of tolerance in you before it starts to flush back to me. So we need to stretch. We need to start working on these tolerances so that we can get to more potent things. And the way that you can do that is to warm yourself up first. Take a half an hour and find something that lights you up and have a charge at it. Okay. A reasonable ask, reasonable request.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Who wants to close us out?
Can I just ask something?
Yeah,
or
sure.
maybe what's coming to mind is, what is the anatomy of platinum?
It's an arch. There's a silver and gold bar. Platinum is in the form of an arch.
An arch.
Mm-hmm. Which means that it's also covenanted. Everything that's arch shaped has a covenant attached to it. Yeah, like the Ark of the Covenant, even.
Wow.
Should be the arch. Yeah, the rainbow too. That's the anatomy of it.
Beautiful.
And beyond that are other universal structures that we haven't encountered yet. Spirals, for example. Yeah, which we live in a big one, don't we? Spiral galaxy. Yeah, and the things that attend that, right? But do realize that you have some content at star level. You have some content at galactic level, at sun level. Yeah. You have all of these things. I mean, I literally last time, I think I told you, or the time before, like, I love you all. I genuinely do, because I look out into there and I'm just in absolute awe of what it is that you carry that you may not even know you have in you. I can see it. And I sure hope soon you do too. Yeah. Carry yourselves with dignity. My goodness. Look at you all. It's amazing. Yeah. All right. Any final words? Yeah.
Well, I do, but oh, that was brilliant. I loved it, and I love the process of it. But like, what is going on? for another time. We don't need to talk about it now, but I'm just saying, hello, what is happening? You know,
Yeah.
this is big stuff.
It is big stuff. You're right.
Really is.
And yet you're in it and swimming just fine. Yeah.
Sure.
It might be the ocean, but you're managing. You're doing just fine. The most important takeaway from today is to really consider this. It's a void unless you put purpose in it of your own making. It doesn't happen. It doesn't come to you. It doesn't appear because you rub shoulders with works and ways, right? It comes when you put it there. And ask yourselves over the coming week or 2 weeks. I might schedule something sooner than 2 weeks out, but ask yourselves, if it's up to me to put something in this, then what is me? I think the only answer you can come to is that you put yourself in there, right? And that's the point when you make this transition of, I don't even know what the word for the transition is, but when you don't just have a purpose in your life, but you are your purpose. There is no difference between you and your purpose. You are it. That is you, the core of you, right? Because if you say, I'm going to put something in here, then it's sort of implying that there's something over here that's you putting something artificial in here, right? Not you. That's not really the way it works. You merge with your purpose. You merge with your truth, the tree of truth. You become it and the fruit of it. Adieu. Thank you all. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
So,
Fine, everybody. Check. Check.
Let's see.